Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'd like to take a look at more fun decks for the expanded format. So what is expanded? So expanded ranges from black and white to the very latest set, and honestly there are many pros to expanded, such as unique combos and the chance to use older cards that have indeed rotated out of the standard format, which is really cool. However, sadly the format is not fully supported on TCG Live, though there is still a lot of support from fans, so fingers crossed, PCG Live devs will add full expanded to TCG Live eventually. I think they sort of said it wouldn't be coming this year, but I've kind of implied that it might be next year. Maybe fingers crossed. Take that with a pinch of salt. They've said things in the past and things haven't come through, but I'm still holding out a lot of optimism that they will eventually add full expanded. To be honest, though, it's not mentioned on this slide, but I do think if expanded comes back in a major way, like with proper huge IRL tournaments again in the West, not just Japan, I do think that there will be some bans made potentially. Like that's not me saying that I think there should be bans. I just think that they might go ahead and ban certain cards. Like that's just what I think though. So we'll have to see what they end up doing for real though. But the first deck is that I want to take a look at here is Drago, of course. If you're new to the format, then this deck is like the deck to know about, really. It won the Japan's League, I want to say Achi tournament, I think that's how you pronounce it. But it made up all of top 4 and like most of top 16. It's definitely a very powerful deck. And I think Double Dragon Energy is probably dangerously close to getting the Banhammer and expanded. I'm not sure if it will get the Banhammer, of course, but I think it could be close. So yeah, Regidrago is quite powerful. Like it was decent in standard, but only got like really good just before it rotated. But then in expanded, it just has a ton of unique options that make it really powerful. Like Northern GX, as well as of course like Double Drag Energy, which will allow you to pay for 2 of the energy cost with just a single special energy attachment, which is really strong. So yeah, a very, very powerful deck overall. And, I think all I can say really with Regidrago is that, yeah, it's a really, really strong deck. But obviously, if you're going to sink big money into Expanded, just be aware that they might ban something from this deck, right? They might ban something from it. So, it's just something to bear in mind before you sink big money into it. But if you already got a load of Regidrago from playing it in Standard or like your friends selling them off for cheap or whatever, yeah, then maybe this deck isn't so expensive to put together. But yeah, definitely worth mentioning because it's so strong. Next up, though, is we have one of my personal favorites from this video, and I think this just perfectly encapsulates how I feel about Expanded sometimes. Like, this deck is so mean. It's Dragapult, which is already a bit of a pain to play against sometimes, but it's also pairing it up with Vileplume. So if you didn't pay attention to the earlier slide in this video, Vileplume basically just item locks for both players, which is, yeah, so it's basically just permanent Bud You, but again, for both players. So you won't be able to play your items, but, this deck mostly just plays tool cards and supporters. It's accounting for that. So as soon as you get Vileplume going, then yeah, you're not going to be worrying about, your items too much because you have a plethora of great supporters to choose from. But yeah, really cool to see the tag call engine, 4 copies of tag call to find 2 tag call supporters from the deck, tag team supporters, I should say. So like Guzma and Hala, which is really cool. And you've even got things like Bunnelby to recycle some resources as well as mill your opponent. So a very annoying deck to play against, I'm sure, but a very fun one to try out at the very least as well. And definitely something to play, if you're already a fan of like Dragapult Pidgeot in Standard and you want to branch out to something in Expanded, then this could be a good place to start. Next up, though, is we have a 27th place Slaking control deck. I think this one's really cool. Like, I'm assuming you still want to actually attack with Slaking in this deck, but I guess the main point is you're still, item locking and milling with Bunnelby, which is, yeah, it's still really annoying. Like, Bunnelby is a very powerful card in this format, along with Vileplume, so get used to seeing them. But yeah, Slacking, really cool. I really like Slacking as a card. Like, I think it's really interesting and unique. And things like Path to the Peak will turn off Slacking's ability, but only 1 copy of Path to the Peak in here, so I don't think it's super, super critical to the deck, making it work. But, you could lean more into that, I suppose, if you really want to try out the more disruptive side of things. But this list obviously doesn't seem to think that playing more Path to the Peak is actually necessary, so, maybe it's not. So that's really cool to see either way. But, if you're a fan of Slacking and are a bit sad that it's not very good in Standard and want to make it work in Expanded, then Slacking is here, which is cool. Next up, though, is we have one of the more traditional decks in Expanded. This one's been around for quite a while, actually, and that is going to be Shadow Rider Calyrex. So this one is the whole attach a Psych Energy from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon to draw 3 cards. Very powerful ability. Oh wait, no, it might be draw 2 cards actually. I'm gonna have to check that actually. But yeah, Shadow Rider is still a very, very strong VMAX, so it will give up 3 prize cards at the very least, so you do have to bear that in mind. But you know, things like Trevenor, which is the Trevenant and Dusknoir tag team, just to the left of there, 2 copies of. Very, very strong tag team attacker. Also got Lily's Clefairy, which I'm guessing is like the most recent addition to the deck. Allows you to hit for weakness on Dragapult and Regidrago, which is cool. Although I'm sure they'll have plenty of ways of stopping Clefairy from like ever being that meaningful, but it's still a very solid deck overall, I would say. You've even got things like Radiant Eternatus, which is really cool to see, which allows you to just search your deck for 2 Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAXs and just put them onto the bench, although it will end your turn, but you know, still a very cool card that you can find with Mysterious Treasure. So yeah, really creative, interesting list overall, still very, very consistent. So if you're interested in playing decks that like draw a lot of cards while attaching energy, kind of like Xatu but on steroids and also has very powerful attacks, then yeah, this deck would be right up your street. So pretty cool. Next up is we have a Palafin deck, and this one's really cool. Like we've got Garbotoxin, which says if it has a tool card attached to it, then you can just turn off all abilities in play except for Garbotoxin. Really funny ability because it does mean that you can just evolve into Palafin. Now, for some reason, I've assumed that Palafin wouldn't actually be, you know, like ability locked until it entered play effectively. So I'm kind of like, because, like, yeah, I was kind of confused at that because I thought Palafin would have to come from the hand onto a Pokemon, but it seems that Garbotoxin also turns off abilities in every player's hand as well. So yeah, that's cool to see at the very least. Do correct me if something's gone wrong here and that's not the case, but yeah, really cool to see. You also have things like Booster Shake, so you can just evolve up immediately. Of course, Booster Shake will end your turn though, which is, you know, a bit of a downside, but still a very, very cool list. You will need some older cards, of course, like if you want to make this work, like you will need the older Garbotoxin. You will need things like Floatstone, which is a 4 of in this deck, you know. Like there is some older cards that might be a bit more trickier to get a hold of, but you know, I think overall this is a very interesting list for sure. So yeah, definitely a very fun one to try out, and I would definitely want to try out this if they ever added full expanded back to TCG Live. Next up, though, is we've got a bit of a control deck. So if you're a huge fan of control and just being really annoying and irritating, then yeah, this one's right up your street, I guess. It's got Galarian Stunfisk in here, which is, yeah, a bit of a choice, actually. I didn't think Galarian Stunfisk was that powerful, but maybe he is. Also got, of course, Block Snorlax, the bane of my existence. Things like Mimikyu and I think that's Fire Giraffe over there, or Durafig, whatever his name is. The weird psychic giraffe thing. So that's kind of interesting to see. Also got Regirock Ancient Trait, which can't be gusted up with the effect of a supporter, which is fun to see. Got Articuno EX, Rotom V for some draw power, Bunnelby for some mill power. Yeah, very, very cool list. Just very, very annoying to play against. So if you don't want your opponent to have fun, then play this, basically. I can't really offer too much analysis on control because it's really not my area of expertise, but it's a very cool list at the very least. Very interesting. Certainly a lot of one-off cards, but yeah, pretty cool list overall. Then we have another control list, but I think this one is a bit more spicy because you're trying to effectively loop Polaris' lock. So what this Raichu does is it says when it evolves, then you can paralyze your opponent's active Pokemon, and then cards like Devolution Spray, which is a 3 of in this deck, and next to Counter Catcher on the left there, will allow you to just de-evolve Raichu, put it back into your hand, and then you can do it again. And then you also play like other cards to recycle this effect. You know, you have other ways of controlling the game, discarding energy. You've got Bunnelby for mill, as well as like recurring resources, like getting them back to hand. Also got things like Path to the Peak as well, which is really cool to see. So yeah, pretty interesting list overall. I do remember playing the weird Raichu Heatmore Polaris Lock deck from Sun and Moon era. That was really fun. So yeah, it seems pretty cool as control decks go. Then next up is we have like another kind of like weird Psychic box deck. I think this one's a bit more interesting than the Shadow Rider one though. So if you have a lot more cards in your collection and you really want to try something out, then I would definitely recommend this one. Again, it's playing a lot of really quite out there cards, but it's kind of based around just Mew copying basic attackers from your discard pile. So there's plenty of interesting options. You know, you've got like Sudowoodo, which can copy attacks. You've got Dialga GX, sorry, I should say, which allows you to, well, has a GX attack that will effectively give you an extra turn, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, a lot of really fun attackers, a lot of different Mimikyus as well, which is interesting to see. You know, like a lot of just really fun options. Also gets to play Tapu Lele, which is such a fun card. So a lot of really cool and fun options. Like you hear me say that a lot in this video because that's just what Expanded is. Like it's a lot of fun combos and such. But yeah, as a huge fan of Mew, I like this deck. So yeah, it's pretty cool overall to see. But yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Is there any decks in this video that really stand out to you as being interesting? And do you think they will ban any cards for the expanded format? Or do you think they're just going to leave it as it is? But yeah, let me know what you think down below. It's been Ember Power. And yeah, thank you for watching.